Now we have studied the three equations of motion. The first equation was V is equal to U plus AT, or A, that is acceleration, is equal to V minus U by T. The second equation was S is equal to UT plus half AT square. And the third equation was V square is equal to U square plus 2AX. Now three equations are there. Now, what does these letters stand for? U stands for initial velocity. We have studied when we studied about distance. Distance is the length of path covered by a body from initial position to final position. That time I told you what is initial. Initial means starting. So initial velocity means starting velocity. V is final velocity, that is the velocity at the end. T is time taken. S stands for distance and A stands for acceleration. So we have got 5 letters denoting 5 physical quantities. U initial velocity, V final velocity, T time taken, S distance, A acceleration. Now, what do you mean by initial velocity? Suppose when you are dropping a body, suppose you have a chalk, you drop the chalk. When you are holding this chalk just before dropping, it has a velocity of 0 meter per second. So this is initial velocity, 0 meter per second. When you drop it, it hits the ground after some time. The velocity with which it hits the ground, that will be called final velocity. Suppose the train is starting from rest. So starting from rest, so what is the initial velocity? U is 0 meter per second. But when you are throwing a body, it already has some velocity. So initial velocity will not be 0. Remember, when you drop a body, its initial velocity will be 0. But when you throw a velocity, it already has some initial velocity. A train which is starting from rest will have an initial velocity 0. But a train which is moving and when brakes are applied, so initial velocity will not be 0. When brakes are applied and the body comes to rest, the final velocity will be 0. So initial velocity U, final velocity V, T is the time taken, S is the distance, and A is the acceleration. Now let us do what you will do. Where's the duster? Now we use all these physical quantities, all these three formulas to do the numericals. Now in all the formulas you can use any formula depending upon which are the physical quantities available. And you will have all the physical quantities, one physical quantity will be lacking, you will use these three formulas to find the physical quantity. Now let us take an example. A ball is dropped from the top of a building. And it reaches the ground in 7 seconds. Now you have to find the velocity with which the ball hits the ground and the height of the building. Now the question is, a ball is dropped from the top of a building. Suppose we have a building. You are building here. At the top of the building, you drop a ball. The ball comes down and hits the ground. Now, this velocity here will be called initial velocity, U. The velocity when it hits the ground will be V. So you have to find V. What will be U? You are dropping the ball. When you are dropping the ball, it doesn't have any velocity, so its initial velocity will be 0 meter per second. Remember, meter per second is the SI unit. We have studied there are two kinds of units, SI unit and series unit. will possibly use SI or System International, where length is measured in meter, time in second. So velocity will be meter per second, acceleration will be meter per second square. And remember one thing, that acceleration, for example, when you drop this body, its velocity increases. The increase in velocity is because of acceleration. The value of G gravity is 10 meter per second square. Actually, this G will be 9.8 meter per second square. Remember, meter per second square is the unit of acceleration. It is 9.8 meter per second square. That is when you drop a body, every second its velocity will be increasing by 9.8. We'll round it off as 10. What does it mean? When you're dropping a ball, when you're dropping it, its velocity is 0. When the acceleration is 10 meter per second square, after 1 second it means that from 0 the velocity will become 10. After 2 seconds again 10 will increase. So it will become 20. After 3 seconds again it will become 30. So after 1 second it will be 10 meter per second. After 2 seconds it will be 20 meter per second. After 3 seconds it will be 30 meter per second. So every second 10 is increasing because acceleration is 10 meter per second. Now here the question is, it takes 7 seconds to reach the ground. So time is 7 seconds. So initial velocity is 0 meter per second. Final velocity you have to find. Time is 10 seconds and acceleration A or G is 10 meter per second square. One more thing to remember is, when you are throwing the body up, its velocity will decrease. When the body is coming down, its velocity will increase. So when your body is dropped, its acceleration will be 10 meter per second square. When you throw it up, it will be minus 10 meter per second square. Suppose I throw a body with 70 meter per second velocity up. After 1 second, it will become 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 and then 0. When it becomes 0, it will start coming down. This you have to keep in mind. When you are throwing a body up, its velocity will decrease. When the body comes down, its velocity will increase. Now we have drawn, what do we have? U, that is initial velocity starting, you are dropping it, its velocity is 0 meter per second. It takes 7 seconds to reach the ground. Final velocity you have to find out. You have to find two things. You have to find final velocity and the height of the building. Height of the building is distance. So now let us do the whenever you do a numerical in motion, first you have to write all the information down. You write all the information down. U is equal to 0 meter per second. V is equal to question mark time 7 seconds. A or G is 10 meter per second square. Now we have to find V. You use the first formula. V or final velocity is equal to U plus AT. That is equation number 1. Now V equal to U. What is the value of U? 0 meter per second. 0 plus the value of A is 10 into 7. So it comes to V is equal to 0 plus 70 meter per second. V is equal to 70 meter per second. So the body, when it comes and hits the ground, it will be traveling at the velocity of 70 meter per second. Again remember, when the velocity of the body is increasing, acceleration will be plus. When you are throwing the body up, the acceleration will be minus. So part 1 over. This is done. Now next, you have to find the height of the building. Height is the distance traveled. When the body is coming down, how much distance it is traveling, that is called height. You use the formula